when I was rodeoing, it's a selfish lifestyle, and I say this on a lot of these shows. And actually, I think my dog just walked across the yard with the chicken in his mouth. Hold on one second. Drop the chicken. Rodeo time. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, catch up on all the old episodes, and check out the latest. You're going to like it. Welcome to the Luke Branquinho Show. My next guest is somebody that, while I was watching bull riding before I got involved in doing stuff with them, is a voice that was very familiar. Wes, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me, man.
Kate had always kind of been interested in shoot dogged a little bit and jump dummy and doing all that. And when we moved out here to Texas, he's like, I think I'm just going to play football this year. We didn't have horses out here yet or anything like that. I'm like, well, perfect. You know, it's a hell of a lot cheaper. Anyway, so when we get out here, he's like, well, maybe I'll shoot dog at the junior high rodeos. He's in 8th grade at the time. I'm like, well, we'll make that happen. Justin Schaefer lives down the road, and that's the guy I rodeoed with the last year I went. So it was, you know, it really was meant to be. Right. So we went and worked with Justin, and then Cade came to me. He's like, I think I want to start jumping steers. I'm like, damn, I just retired from steer wrestling. Now I got to go find a horse that I would want myself to be able to jump steers on. So it's been a fun process, but it's something that I've never, ever forced on them. It's always been whatever you guys want to go, whichever direction, we'll support you. But we're gonna do 100%. We're not gonna half-ass it. If you want to play football, we're gonna go football 100%. You want to rodeo, we're gonna do that 100%. It's not. We'll try it, and then if we don't like it, there's none of that. Whatever we're gonna do, we're gonna go at it.
I'll never be able to put into how much gratitude I have for my parents, because my whole life they've been that exact same way. They've never even asked me to do something. I wanted to play baseball, 100% support. I started playing basketball. They never missed a game. I wanted to judge horses, every FFA thing, which was the backbone of my entire life. I wanted to show pigs, steers, whatever it was. They were there to support me 100%. I wanted to go to college and judge horses. Awesome. I had a full ride scholarship to do that. I wanted to go to a different college when I was done. I dropped out. I enrolled again. They supported me. Every mistake I made, they kept supporting what I wanted to do, and I'll never be able to say thank you enough to them, because I started announcing. It was a pipe dream that maybe someday I'd be able to do one PBR. They supported me. They encouraged me. They gave me every opportunity they could to help me and to encourage me. And so, I love that. I love seeing families do that, because that's what got me to where I am right now.
Yeah, and that's how life should be with your parents. I mean, 100% supportive behind no matter what it is you want to do. And again, I don't know where I would be without my first steer for me. Very first steer I ever jumped. Now, I didn't have enough balls to do that for my kid, but I was in the box with him.
Now, wait a minute. How good are your knees?
My knees? Not very good anymore.
Is there any chance Luke Branquinho comes out of retirement to rodeo with his boy for a year?
No, definitely not. And here's why. I'll tell you why. I'm in the best shape that I've ever been in, ever probably. Like, I thought Cade wanted to practice. Justin wasn't home, so I said, hey, take the steers out of the chute first. I'll shoot dog them for you, and then you could take them second. They were small steers. They weighed 450 pounds max, and I mean, they were shoot dogging steers. Third one I run, nothing even bad happens, and I tear all the cartilage in the front of my ribs. I think my body's like teasing me, like, yeah, you think you can? You think you can? No, you definitely cannot come back.
It's like the hot stove. I can touch it. I can touch it. I can touch it.
That's exactly right. But, so being on the PBR teams, when they called me to see if I'd be interested, I said, yes, of course, I'd love to. But there may be a couple dates that I can't go, and here's why. And I told him my oldest son's first high school rodeo are these dates. It's over the top of this event, and I've been gone and missed enough of his life from rodeoing. I'm not going to miss this. And PBR was kind enough to say, okay, well, yeah, we won't use you at that one we'll take you off schedule for that one and good to go. And if it would have cost me the contract for all of them, it's something that I would have done because I had missed so much of that being gone rodeoing. But again, they were kind enough to say, okay, yeah, we'll let you skip that one and come back. So
good for you for recognizing that, because there's a lot of people that are scared to stand up for what they think and what their ideologies are, what they believe in. And that's one thing that, like, man, your family needs you all the time.
Right.
And we get caught up in life so many times, and I'm guilty of it. Like, I've missed so much, in life because I felt like I had to go somewhere because I was pursuing this career or because I was pursuing this opportunity, that I missed out on some things that I wish I could go back and change. And, I don't ever want to do that again. I don't ever want to let a job get in the way of life. And so good for you.
Another viewer question, is that a boomerang over that'd be my right shoulder. I feel like it should be my left. I will answer it later in the show, so stay tuned. Yeah, and that was something Lindsay and I talked about it, because it's good money. I ain't gonna lie, it helped damn sure pay the bills. But
it's dumb that they even pay us to go watch bull riding, much less talk about it and tell these stories. I mean, I was buying tickets in 2005. I was buying tickets to the Tulsa Convention Center to go watch the PBR there. I met Ty Murray in Springfield, Missouri, at an outdoor arena there because I bought tickets to go watch a PBR. That's where I met Luke Snyder for the first time. Like, I was buying tickets, and now they're paying me.
Right. Crazy world we live in. Again, I'll go back to the teams deal, and I want to talk to you about that because you've got to see the transformation of the PBR for the UTB to this new, I guess it's a new league. Well, it is the new league, but whatever you want to call it, new venture that they're going towards and trying to make it the next thing. What are your thoughts on it?
I love it. I absolutely love it. And I've listened to everybody, and I judge things off of the locker room. How do the guys truly feel about things? And talking to those guys, watching them, I think it's giving them a lot more to be excited about, and watching the camaraderie continue to build. Right. I mean, there's always been cliques in the locker room, but now seeing these guys, and I hear all the BS and all the people that are talking smack about, well, they shouldn't be cheering like that and acting a fool in the back of the buck and shoots. Shut your mouth. Because that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to support each other, and watching those guys rally around each other is one of the most exciting things in the world. I'm sorry if you don't have friends that pat you on the back and want to see you succeed, but these guys do. And so if you're not going to help within and you're not going to try to help internally, then your opinion means nothing to me. What does mean something to me is the fact that these guys are now not only rallying around and helping elevate each other within the sport, we're elevating the sport outside of our core audience, because now we can go to a city like Nashville. And I had so many friends that don't know anything about bull riding, but they came to the Nashville event and all they knew was that Nashville had a team. And so they're buying Nashville Stampede t-shirts. They're cheering for that team. And now they're watching their team on television. Something they weren't doing before PBR teams. And so I'm so excited about it. I think it's going to increase the future for all of our athletes. It's going to get more eyeballs, which brings in more revenue, which gets more money for the athletes. And if you're against those things, then shame on you.
Yeah. It's funny you brought up, the cheering and the camaraderie, because I was just going to tell you what I saw last weekend when it was the third game. It was the first game of day 3. It was Texas Rattlers on the Flint side, B side, which is usually the losing side, by the way, Flint. And then my side, the A side, was the Austin Gamblers. And the Gamblers are 0-2, and they're the team to beat because obviously they had such a great first half. And for them to come into the season second half 0-2, it was pretty tough because behind the buck and shoots, this team was down. I could feel it. They're like, listen, we don't expect ourselves to be here. We're disappointing ourselves, but at the same time, they were still pumped up, motivating each other. But you could tell there was just a different feel. Another viewer question, is that a boomerang over that'd be my right shoulder. I feel like it should be my left. Yes, that is a boomerang that it is autographed by I don't know who, and my dad gave it to me, or my parents gave it to me when I was really young. And when we moved, it just miraculously appeared. So it's in the trophy room with all the buckles and stuff. It's pretty cool. I will say Kai Hamilton, did not notice it, which is surprising since he is from an Australian descent. Dalton rides.
Mm-hmm.
Great little spinner, great ride. Joao bucks off. Dalton rides. Then I can't remember who it was on one of the Brady's on the Rattlers rides. The Austin team, everybody's watching, obviously. Now, when obviously Jose goes and they're still cheering, they're pumped even louder because their team's winning. But you still have that in the sport, which I still love to see.
It's the same mentality, right? You want everybody to be the best they can possibly be. If you're a fighter, you want to beat that guy across the octagon from you on his best day.
Exactly.
You don't want him to be injured. You don't want him to be hurt and just squeak by so you can say you beat him. I've got a buddy, Michael Chandler, who is getting ready to fight Conor McGregor. Doesn't care if Conor's on steroids, wants to fight the biggest, best version of Conor McGregor ever. Why? Because he wants to know that he can do that as a man. Our guys are exactly the same way. Everybody in that locker room wants to see Jose go out there and be 92, 93, 94 points. But then they want to go out there and be 95 points or be, and that's what's fun about this sport is because there's that instinctual desire to be better than the best. And that's why we love the sport, right?
Well, and I think that's the Western industry, whether it's bull riding, steer wrestling, anything in the Western, barrel racing, I think it's all there. And you see it to me in other sports, but I do think in the NFL, when Tom Brady was playing, they're like, oh, Tom's hurt? Dang it.
Yeah.
We hopefully we'll get this W.
What's cool to me, and we talk about the highest of highs, but let's talk about the lowest of lows and how PBR teams has changed this entire sport to me, because you've seen your buddies get hurt in rodeo arenas. We've all watched bull riders get hurt in the arena. They go to the hospital, and then they're not there for weeks at a time. And They might have one or two guys go to the hospital and check on them, but then they're by themselves. Marcus Mass breaks his a couple of weeks ago, and his team goes to the hospital. They're waiting on him. When he comes back, his entire team welcomes him back. Yeah. Colton Fritzland gets his leg stepped on this weekend, goes to the hospital. As soon as the event's over, I walk up and see Colby and Katie Yates. They've got a car full of Arizona Ridge Riders going to the hospital, knowing they're not going to get back there to see him, but they're going there just to support their teammate.
Right.
And that's the difference to me. When Colton comes in on a walker with a broken leg into that locker room just to be around his guys and watching those.
Yeah, that they just put a rod in the day before.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Less than 24 hours.
Yeah.
He's had surgery on his leg, but he's asking in the hospital, can I get back to the arena? Can I get back to my guys? Like, that's the difference with teams, in my opinion. We're seeing a lot more of that real brotherhood, and it's not lip service. It's a real brotherhood that is bonding these guys together, because whether they realize it or not, they're a part of history, and they're a part of something that'll never be taken away from this industry. The same way we look at those founders back in the early 90s that stepped away and created all of this opportunity for bull riders, now these teams are going to be able to go, I was a part of the first, team of the Missouri Thunder, or I was a part of the very first Nashville Stampede that won this deal in Las Vegas, had that Cinderella story. And I look at what they're doing and what they're creating in a historical significance, and I'm going, holy shit, Luke, we get to be a part of this. 30 years from now, we're going to go, man, we were a part of those first couple of seasons. We got to watch those incredible moments. And it's real. Whether people want to admit it or not, it's a real part of our history.
Well, and what else is real? And you said it, the injuries that we've seen, and with Marcus Mass, Derek Kolbaba,
Yeah.
Colton Fritzland, some of those guys that just get maybe, and those are major injuries. Broke neck, broke back, broken femur. Those guys that get knocked out, and it really gives me chills to see that happen from the back of the buck and shoots. This crowd silence, cowboy hats are off. But when your voice comes over and it's on my earpiece, and I don't think it's to the house, but I wish it was, because when you start talking about, we're all here, or the prayers, everything, to me, it eases me to hear your voice talk like that and say those words. And again, I wish it could come to the house, because if the fans could hear that, the in-house fans, the contestants could hear what you're saying. And I know you've said it in live events before, but man, it just brings a calmness over me, and I'm right there watching it happen firsthand.
Well, first thing you got to know, that's not me. That's 100% God. That is me going, please give me something that'll come out of my mouth to provide comfort, because I'm a vessel for what he wants the world to hear. And I always think, and I think I said this on the broadcast, I'm not sure. But I always look at it like, yes, these fans came here to see this exciting sport, and that's the reality of it. And now all of a sudden they're scared of what's happening. Right. But bigger picture, this guy's got a family at home that's freaking out. They don't know what's going on. And so if I can see something to give them some kind of peace at home, that's how I look at everything. I want to be real, but if I see a guy moving and they can't see it at home, I need to tell them. If Lindsay's sitting at home watching the national finals, and for some reason she couldn't be in Vegas, but you get hurt, and then all of a sudden there's a crowd around you and she can't see you, but that voice can tell her, look, I can see he's moving his legs and he's talking. Right. Now all of a sudden there's a piece that she goes, okay, that's the first good sign.
All right, it's time for a little more rodeo trivia. What is the primary objective in bull riding? To hear the answer, you're going to have to stay tuned, keep watching the show, because I will answer it a little bit later.
And so that's my thought process, and all of that is, what would I say to the family? First of all, God, I'm turning everything over to you. Help me here. I need you. And second of all, what would I want to hear if that was my family member? And so I appreciate you saying that. It's one of the things that like I've really focused on trying to dial in, like what's the best approach for this? And it's funny because you talk about all these things, and I'm the guy that looks like the kid that has the aggressive ADD in life, because when we're doing a show, I'm jumping around and I'm looking, and it's like I never pay attention, but I'm constantly studying. I'm looking at people. I'm watching their reactions. How do we manipulate their emotions in the excitement, but how do we get real with them in those scary moments, and just, give them peace and understand that what we're dealing with. And so I study this a lot more than maybe I even want to admit sometimes, but
it's a 10 out of 10 what you're doing, man. It's like I said, it to hear you through my earpieces, and it brings calm to me, so I could only imagine what it does to for those families. And
I hope so. And I've always said, hey, if I'm excited, you should be excited. If I'm scared, you should probably be scared. But if I can take a deep breath, then that's what I want you to feel too. If you're sitting at home watching, I want you to feel the same things I am, because I'm a fan just like everybody else.
Yeah, well, you do a great job of that. The other thing you do a great job of is your social media presence with guys like that lunch pail behind you, Hulkmania with Hulk. Man, I love watching, and completely shifting gears here, but I love watching your social media, the pictures of the people you get, because Kid Rock was like not even 20 feet away from me, standing up on top. Up there where the announcers are, and I'm looking like, damn, that's Kid Rock. I never got to meet him. Would love to get a picture with him. And after the event, I went up there and he was 10 feet from me, and I didn't get a picture with him. He had some people around him. I told you that. And he's like, you take advantage of every situation, every opportunity you get like that. And that's has stuck with me. And I know it was just Nashville, but you know, what you said makes perfect sense.
I've got a painting over here and behind the camera in my office here, and it's of Clem McSpadden, and it's an oil painting that was in Clem's office. When I started announcing, I used to drive to Chelsea, and I would beg Clem McSpadden, just give me some advice. Tell me something. Teach me something. And his answer was always the same. It was, you know, yeah, take pictures. And at first I'm like, no, tell me about announcing. And he had all these photo albums in his office, and I would go set and just thumb through black and white pictures, and then pictures, you know, later on you'd see Reba in his office and things like that. And so that's all he would ever really tell me was like, take pictures. And I finally asked him one day, I said, Clem, why you always tell me to take pictures? And he said, because it might not mean much to you, but someday your kids or your grandkids, and now social media, our families and our friends, will live through those photos.
Right.
It might not be that cool to say that, you know, you're hanging out with Luke Branquinho, the world champ, because he's your buddy. But someday your family is going to go, holy crap, Matt was friends with Luke Branquinho. And so that's why I'm constantly going back to what Clem told me. Take pictures everywhere you go, everybody you work with, everybody you meet. And the first time I ever met Hulk Hogan, I didn't take a picture with him. And I was so mad because I'll never another chance. I'll never get another opportunity. And fast forward like 2 years, I'm in a gym in Florida, and I hear this voice, and I look up, and there he is. And I was like, there's no way I'm leaving here and not taking a picture. So, yeah, it's one of the things that I always revert back to what Clem McSpadden told me. And so that's why, like, we do it, you know?
Well, and I guess for me, and I express this to you, and for me, I love taking, if people want to take a picture of me, I thought it was great, you know,
yeah.
but
I hate being that guy. I hate being that guy that says, hey man, sorry to bother you, or excuse me, miss. I hate feeling like I bother people. But then when those people tell you, no, like, that's why we do what we do. It's no different than when you and I go take a picture with a PBR fan, or you take a picture with a rodeo fan. Like, it's an honor to have somebody to ask you to do that.
Right.
We remember that the other way around when we're that person, when we're that fan. But it's hard. It's hard to do. It is, but it's worth it. You know, it's.
But I did love the story you said when you introduced Kid to Megan. And he's like, Bob.
Wildest thing ever. I'm thinking Kid Rock, man. I missed a Kid. I've never let myself forget about. There was a concert in Tulsa called Edge Fest, and one year the headliners. I was in high school, but the headliners were Limp Bizkit and Kid Rock. I wanted to go so bad, my parents wouldn't let me. I was such a Kid Rock fan, and so I was like, I got to go meet him. And he's always been this just bigger than life character. And when we meet him, I said, hey, by the way, this is my wife, Megan. And he takes his hat off and he goes, hello, Megan. Bob, pleasure to meet you. And I went, what the hell just happened? But then fast forward, and we see him a couple of weeks ago in Nashville, and we're backstage there at Whiskey Jam. Same thing. He's still Kid Rock, but was still so incredibly polite to everybody. And it's like, okay, that's why I like him. You know, I like him because of the mystique and the character, but I really like him because of the genuine human being that's behind all of that. So it was pretty cool. But yeah, blew my mind when he took his hat off and said, hello, Megan. Bob, pleasure to meet you.
Well, that is hilarious. And you in your position have got to experience and meet so many people of, you know, Kid Rock stature, you know, that superstar, that superpower, that and superpower like Superman. But did you meet Superman?
Not yet.
Oh yeah, we're working on that.
I've met my Superman though. Like, I've met my heroes. And it's all because of where this career has taken me. I go back, I'm a baseball guy, right? Ozzie Smith was my favorite baseball player of all time. And Luke Snyder invited me over to Missouri. We're doing these little bull ridings where we're going to go in Ridgedale. And Johnny Morris, Bass Pro, had a group of people show up. And there were these little signs all over the area. And one of them kept saying Wizard of Oz. Welcome to the Wizard. Welcome, Ozzy. Is Ozzy Smith supposed to be at this thing? And he goes, oh, yeah, he'll be here in a little bit. And I said, I'm not one, but if the opportunity arises, that's one of my two heroes. And so we're in the little dinner later that night, and Luke goes, hey, Matt, we'll introduce you to somebody. And I turn around, there's Ozzy Smith. And Ozzy's like, wait, you're the guy that was talking about the bull riding. And I was like, yes, sir. And all he wanted to do was talk bull riding. I wanted to talk baseball and St. Louis Cardinals.
Right.
And all he wanted to talk was bull riding. And it was just like, wow. And he was such a cool guy. And then the other one was Hulk Hogan. I know that's crazy to say as a grown-ass man, but Hulk Hogan was my hero, and I couldn't have been more happy to meet both my heroes. They were very, very cool guys.
Well, and you touched on it. That is what this job, and if you even call it that, because I've always said a job is something you do and don't, you get paid to do. This is something we love to do and get paid for it. So job, not really, but that's what it has let you do in your life. Meet these people and experience not only meeting them, but experience what this industry and this culture means to them that they have no connection to whatsoever.
Yeah. A job and a career are two different things.
Yeah.
I've got a career because it's provided this opportunity at a life that I could only dream of. If I had a job, I'd be miserable and just, it'd be totally different, So this career, in my opinion, has given me so many different chances to live a life that I told Megan, I said, we had dinner with a guy here a couple of weeks ago that 20 years ago, Matt would have lost his mind. And now it's weird that it's part of life. But the bigger thing than that is, like you said, it brings those people into our world so they see these athletes and they can gain an appreciation for what these guys do, because there's nothing like it, man. I mean, when a UFC fighter is at the height of their superstardom and they come and they just want to shake hands with a bull rider because they're so impressed with what they do
and how tough they are. Yeah.
Yep. That's what we're here for.
Right.
That's why those bridges are made, for us to connect to those people, to bring them in and show them this world so that they can go out and tell the rest of their world about what's going on over here. And so, yeah, it's been really cool. It's stupid. It really, at the end of the day, it's crazy to think that we get to live this life. We get to be cowboys every single, how many kids grow up wanting to be cowboys in other parts of the world, and we get to grow up and put a cowboy hat on every day of our life and go out and be around our buddies. And so, yeah, I've always said I'm the luckiest guy in the world. That'll never change. I get to hang out with my dearest friends and enjoy the sport that I love more than anything in the world.
Yeah, and you said it, luckiest guy in the world, for a lot of reasons, and I feel the same way, not about you, but about me. But you mentioned her name, Miss Megan West.
Yeah, yeah. Don't make me cry.
No, well, I mean, what has this wonderful woman who is your wife, just what she's done for you in the last few years since you guys have been married and or been together and been married?
You're gonna make me cry. That is something that, like, everything we've ever gotten to do has been cooler than I ever could have imagined. And, I talk about your buckles that are behind you. She walked in here to make sure I say things right now. But I've got all of my World Finals buckles hanging over our fireplace. I've got buckles scattered around the house. And I always tell everybody when they look at them, it's cool. And it's an honor and a privilege to get to have those buckles, but they'll never compare to that. Like, that's my favorite thing I've ever gotten to do, because it's so much cooler than any buckle I'll ever get handed, because that means more than anything I've ever done in life, as a human. I get to be Megan's husband.
Right.
I've been a part of, I think, 14 PBR World Finals. That's cool. but it's not as cool as being Megan's husband.
Right.
It's changed my life, man. It's made me a better person. I do wake up every day wanting to be a better person, wanting to work harder at being a better husband. You talk about my social media, man. She set my social game up. I'm a lot cooler of a person now than boring old Matt. But now it's actually fun being me. You know,
Right.
You get it. There's nothing in life like finding that person. We have great coworkers. We've got a great team on the broadcast right now. We all get along great. We love each other. I mean, I hope you know that I would genuinely do anything in the world for you and your family. But I know that in my highest of highs and my lowest of lows, my best friend is going to be there.
Yeah.
And, before we got on here this morning, you know, I wasn't having a great day, but I got that person.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's, you know, I didn't mean to make you cry, but I do the same thing talking about Lindsay. I mean, and I used to pride, and we talked about this. I used to pride myself in being a tough sumbitch, you know, and I get pissed off at my mom now. Whenever I see a sad movie, I start crying. I'm like, you gave me that gene. I don't cry. You know, you know, you said it best when I was rodeoing. It's a selfish lifestyle. And I say this on a lot of these shows. And actually, I think my dog just walked across the yard with the chicken in his mouth. Hold on one second. Drop the chicken. I hope Lindsay didn't see that. Or
anyway. That's the clip that makes social media.
I wasn't even thinking to have my phone out. That was bad.
Oh,
I wish I would have videoed that so I could have showed you, because I seen him going through this window and I didn't know what it was. And then I get over there. And the funny thing is, how do we get to talking about chickens? Anyway, funny thing is, he had her in his mouth. In his mouth, walking. Yeah, exactly. Walking, set her on the ground, and then just stood over there and starts licking her. I don't know if he's. Oh,
that's real life stuff, man.
Yeah, because I use those things for my fitness routine. Okay, he can't be killing my hens. Anyways,
got the heart rate up. I mean, that's what we're trying to do. Elevate the heart rate. Good job.
Back to you know, when I try to talk about my wife without tearing up, it's hard not to, because she's been my best friend, and there's times where she shouldn't have been. She should have said, "I'm leaving. I'm out of here. I'm not the most important thing in your life."
Yep.
Because rodeo can do that to a person. And, you know, for her to stick that out, and now obviously we're probably in the best place we've ever been, and we're just keep getting better. It's all because of her.
Yeah. Like for me, I was traveling around the world and I was going and doing all these great things, and there was still this like void in my life. And I didn't have that person to share all these great things with. And yeah, I had my buddies on the road, but then there came a time in my life where I'd get done with work and I'm not going out to the bars. I'm not doing all the things that a lot of the guys or a lot of my friends are doing. And so there was this kind of emptiness, and I couldn't figure out like, what's wrong with me? You know, why am I alone? And I found Megan later in life. I mean, there's no secret. I'm a little older than a lot of people that get married, and I appreciate it more because I'm old enough and mature enough to realize that God had a plan, and He had this path, and He wanted me to do all these things, and so that I could fully appreciate what He had in store for me. And I do. I make it a point to make sure Megan knows that she is the most important thing in my life all day, every day. And that, you know, nothing comes before the bond that we have. And it's hard. It's hard being on the road. It's hard being on the go, and you constantly, like, you have a podcast and you've got this and you've got that, and then I've got a TV meeting, and then we've got a call over here. And sometimes it's as simple as just sending a text like, "Hey, jumping on a call. Do you need anything?" You know,
right.
because I would drop all of this for my family, and you would never see me again. Like that's where I'm at in my life, and 10, 15 years ago, I wasn't mature enough to be in a place to feel that way.
Right.
And so again, I appreciate that God's timing is perfect. And so I've realized that, and it makes me appreciate her more every day.
Are you rubbing her leg right now? Is that her leg you're
rubbing? No. She's actually back there.
Well,
I get this nervous twitch with my hands. And you'll see anytime like Tiffany Davis asked me to speak to the group and pray with the group before the event last year in Arizona. And those are times where you will see me get really nervous because that's real. That's important. Like TV is TV and we're doing what we're supposed to do. But when I get to talking about God or my family, that's when I get nervous because that means something a little bit more. And so you'll see me start rubbing my leg, or I get this little nervous twitch sometimes when something's real. That's when you see that kind of kick in.
I didn't know if she's sitting next to you, consoling you like my wife has to do for me when we're watching Bambi.
No, she does a lot. She has to kind of tell me, suck it up, Buttercup, be a man.
Before I let you go, I want to go back to this because it happened to me in my rodeo career. But when you started announcing, you said Brendan Clark, Scott Shifter, that group of guys. Yeah. Well, you kept announcing bull riding's not a.
They all got old.
Yeah, they all got old. So that younger group of guys are coming. Now you got to make friends with the young, cool kids, and then that just keeps rotating. That was a lot like me rodeoing. I rodeoed for so damn long that I would show up to rodeo. I'm like, who the hell is this kid? He was in grade school when not that long ago, where I rodeoed with his dad.
Right.
And then you just become the old guy that doesn't want to go out and have fun.
No, I'm that guy. And I've worried about that. Like, man, I always had this connection with these guys, and it helped me tell these stories, and it helped me know more about them. What's going to happen when I'm not the guy that's going out and running around, and like I'm not with them in those other times? And what I've learned is it's okay to be the old, not so fun guy, and you can still get those connections because, at the end of the day, I say this is the best group of bull riders as far as men and who they are as men that I think I've ever been around. It's not to say that there's not a turd in the punch bowl here and there,
right?
But as a whole, collectively, this is an incredibly solid group of young men, and it's almost like it's cool to have a wife and cool to have a kid. You show up at the hotel lobby and it's like a giant nursery. Everybody's got their families, and I think that's so cool to be a part of.
Well, and I think it goes to what the PBR has done for finances. These guys winning the teams, they're getting paid to play, which I guess in PBR they've never really had entry fees at that level, but they can afford to bring their families along where not so much in the rodeo industry because you got to pay for your fuel, you got to pay for your everything. Right. That's just another plane ticket or another meal, and it gets pretty tight. And that's what I feel like the PBR has been really good at, is being able to let those guys. Yeah, so especially with these. Yeah.
Because now you've got the ownership groups, the management groups, the coaches that are, we're building a bond in this brotherhood, but it goes far beyond just the guys.
Right.
The families are still a part of this too, and we want to continue to see that. And with the money that's available in PBR teams and the contracts that these guys are afforded to sign with these teams, now they can bring their families around a lot more. It's not just I need to make enough to jump in a car with my buddies and get to the next one. Exactly. So I think it's helping to build better men.
That's for sure. That is for sure. Well, Matt, I appreciate you coming on. I know, they're absolutely going to love hearing this and hearing our insights and our tenderness side, the feelings we wear on our sleeves and all that.
Babies. We're big babies.
I need one of those binkies, and every time I watch a movie, just have it and put it in.
My wife has a warm glass of milk over here, and then I'm going to go lay down. She's going to cover me with a blanket, and I'm going to take a nap today.
She's going to try rocking you a little bit?
Probably, yeah. Yeah, just pat me on the head till I fall asleep.
Oh, that's so sweet. Well, I appreciate it, man. It was fun catching up with you.
Man, I appreciate you. I do. I truly love having you around on the weekends. You're a great human being. You make me want to be better as a man, and I'm so proud of you. I'm proud of the podcast, everything you're doing. Super cool to see. You're adding a lot to our industry and to the lives of all of us. So keep doing what you're doing, buddy.
Well, thank you. But before we go, I did almost forget something. Matt West Now, your podcast. Where can they catch up on that?
We are. I don't think I've officially told anybody this, but we're going to relaunch it. We've taken several months off, but we're gonna relaunch it. It's gonna have a little different tone to it. It's gonna have a little different group of characters, and the guests are gonna be different. It's not gonna be the same podcast you're seeing in the past. So we're gonna take a different path, but everything social media is Matt L. West, and the L is for my middle name, which we won't talk about.
I don't guess I know that yet. Megan will surely.
If you listen close, there's some of the guys that will call me by that and nothing else. You'll never hear them call me Matt.
Oh, really?
Call me by my middle name. Yeah.
Start having to pay attention a little better.
Every once in a while, you'll hear it.
All right, Matt. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, buddy.
You bet. The primary objective in the bull riding is the rider stays on the bull's back for 8 seconds from the time the bull leaves the chute, but he cannot touch the bull from his armpit to his fingers with his free hand, which is the hand that is in the air. If he does that between the stop of the clock at 8 seconds, it is a no score.